Hey, what up, everybody? I got something here from Benny Politan entitled "The Death of Boston Police Officer John O'Keefe." I'm just gonna title this "Another Update on Karen Reed." Let's go.
My name is Taylor Falsky, and I'm a certified canine nutritionist, and here are 5 easy ways to improve your dog's food. First,
understand anything super clearly, including some of the circumstances and some of the videos. The circumstances, like, it all comes to, like, she's got a nice Lexus SUV, but the tail light is cracked. But it's not 100% clear how and when it was cracked. Because the morning after she allegedly ran over John O'Keefe, she's backing the car out at John O'Keefe's house. And we have that video. And look, watch, as she stops, it seemingly hits a car behind it. And as it pulls away, there's video of the right tail light. So what does that video reveal? Is that consistent with what it looked like later on when prosecutors took a picture of it as evidence against Karen Reed? Is it consistent with all the broken pieces that were found allegedly at the scene? Or was it partially cracked when she backed it up and then cracked later on by law enforcement who are setting her up for all of this? Like, nothing in this case is 100% clear. And this is probably one of the most important issues for that jury. And it's the next question in our investigation. When was Karen Reed's tail light cracked?
Thank you. When did it get cracked? Yeah.
And even the question isn't clear. Like, fully cracked? Half cracked? It's tough. It's really tough to really nail down any fact in this case, which is a challenge for prosecutors ultimately because they have the burden. Joining me, Karen Reed supporter, creator of the Justice for Officer John O'Keefe and Karen Reed Facebook page, Nick Rocco, and the author of the book Storm of Suspicion, The Karen Reed Trial, Kevin Lenahan. Okay. This one has taken on a life of its own. Let's go back to that video I just showed. Nick, you look at that video. What do you see in the backing up, and what do you see in the car pulling away?
Well, I see her hitting John's car, and actually one of the only unbiased persons to talk about her taillight that actually saw the taillight was Officer Barrows from the Dayton Police Department when he saw her vehicle in Dayton in the driveway of her parents, right? So he said there's a piece missing and it's not completely damaged. Now, during Yuri Buchanan's testimony, Adam Lally shows a picture or a video on the left-hand side of Karen Reed's vehicle before the night in question. When you look at all these pictures right here, they're the same as when she left John's driveway, other than a small piece missing. So how, when the Massachusetts State Police, how does it look like that when before she allegedly struck John O'Keefe, in the morning after she struck John O'Keefe, they look the exact same? You cannot look at these pictures and tell me that they're different. The only difference is when the Mass State Police took custody of it, there's more taillight missing.
Let's take a listen, Kevin, to some of that testimony from two members of law enforcement about the taillight and what they saw and what they observed.
You learned that the vehicle was registered to the defendant.
And as you're going by this vehicle, what, if any, observations did you make of the vehicle as you were walking past it toward the home?
I observed a damaged rear right tail light fixture on the vehicle. From my vantage point, I also told Trooper Proctor to approach the vehicle closer and confirm what I was seeing, which he did.
At some point, did you make any observations of the right rear part of that Lexus SUV?
I did.
And what, if anything, did you observe about that area of the vehicle?
I saw that there was some damage to the right rear taillight.
to my best ability and recollection, that tail light was not completely damaged. It was cracked, and a piece was missing, but not completely damaged.
All right, Kevin. So when was Karen Reed's tail light cracked?
Well, I'll tell you who does say very authoritatively that the taillight was missing pieces. Karen Reed. Amazingly, in an interview with Boston Magazine reporter Gretchen Voss, in which all three of her attorneys were present, at least, I don't know how many attorneys she has now, but the ones back then, she told Gretchen Voss a story about how at 5:45 in the morning, when she showed her taillight to Kerry Roberts and Jen McCabe, and they described the taillight the same way too. But Karen Reed vividly describes, and you're going to hear this audio in court, that the taillight was missing pieces. Bulbs were exposed. She was worried it would affect the functionality of her car. In fact, she said, and this is why she told the story, that she plucked a piece of taillight out at that moment and dropped it in the driveway. And that's why she told the story, because the state police searched that driveway days later. And so she was trying to make the case that they lied because they didn't find the piece that she dropped there. But of course, that driveway was snow-blowed very heavily after 2 feet of snow had fallen. So that taillight probably went missing. But the taillight was clearly broken by so many different, Kerry Roberts testified that it was broken in missing pieces when she saw it at 5:30, 5:45. And she not only said that, when she was shown a picture by Prosecutor Lally of the taillight later on the Sally Port, she shows, yes, that's what I saw. And the defense chose not to question her. They didn't cross-examine her, so they've accepted her statement. So there's really no question that the taillight is missing pieces. And Officer Barrios there described it very accurately. If you look at that taillight, it's largely intact. It's only missing pieces on the corner. So there really isn't a mystery here. The taillight was missing pieces, and it was missing. It's somewhat clear that it's missing pieces at 5:08 when she pulls out too.
Let's take a look at the Sally Port video. My favorite video of all the videos in this case. Let's take a look. And what we've done here is we've put everything on the correct side. Nick, what's the significance of this video?
We're not even looking at the damaged taillight here. This is flipped around the correct way. So initially, when they showed it originally, they were showing us the driver's side taillight.
The new trial is going to be shown this way. I think that the new jury will see it this way.
Yeah, so I can tell you right now, everyone behind the taillight right there. When Yuri Buchanan says he sees the taillight damaged and he needed Proctor to get a closer look, if that taillight was completely missing all the red pieces, you don't need to get a closer look to see all the red missing. And the other thing too is Karen Reed may have said that the bulb was sticking out, but there's actually no bulbs in this type of taillight. It's all LED lights. So she did say, and Kerry Roberts did say, that there was pieces missing. But what Kevin didn't say was when the taillight broke, which he didn't say it was when she struck John O'Keefe. It broke it cracked when she backed into John's car. And you have other people like Officer Barrows, who is now not a witness for the Commonwealth, saying that only a piece was missing. So you cannot have her vehicle taillight looking one way before the incident, then the morning of the incident, and then now like this, that the Massachusetts State Police took it. All of that should have been read. So to say that one piece is missing in that picture is just a lie. All of the red pieces are missing.
Kevin Lenahan, your thoughts about the Sally Port video?
Shut up, Kevin.
Well, it's just so many. These people think it's unusual that the troopers are looking at the only part of the car that's damaged. It's just baffling to me why that would be mystifying to them. Of course they're going to be looking at that. This is the murder weapon, right? So, it's established by Karen's own words that the taillight is badly damaged and missing pieces at 5:45. It's also that's further corroborated by Kerry Roberts' testimony, which is not challenged. That's corroborated by Jen McCabe's testimony. You can see in the vehicle when it backs up into John's Traverse, it's like at 1 or 2 miles an hour, it barely nudges it. There's no way that did any damage. You don't see any pieces falling in the fresh snow there. So, we don't have video of Karen striking John, but the taillight pieces are found in a debris field near where John was found. And we know where Karen's Lexus was all day. It was either parked in John's driveway under ring surveillance, or parked in her parents' house in Dighton under camera surveillance, or she was in it. So by the time the car got back to the Sally Port in Canton, the state police CERT team was already set up and started to shovel out a tiny excavation area the size of about 2 parking spaces, and that's a 7-man CERT team. So there was no time in the timeline to tamper with that vehicle and bury those pieces. This is an easy case.
All right, Kevin Lenahan, Nick Rocco, thank you as always for tonight. And pretty soon, all of us will be up there in Massachusetts, and we'll do this in person. Don't worry about it. We will do this in person. Thanks so much, guys. We've just got more to get to, still to come. Let's talk about Michael Proctor, Trooper Michael Proctor. Who will he help more in this case?
Did you have an agenda?
Objection.
State Cold Mom is now lawyer Lori.
She's representing herself.
On charges of conspiring to murder her 4th husband.
She said, I can murder you now. The Cold Mom Conspiracy Trial. Live coverage weekday mornings. Only on Court TV. I'm confessing to a murder. I did it. I'm your worst nightmare, David. Interview with a Killer. New season premieres Sunday at 8. Only on Court TV.
Did you have an agenda?
Objection.
Your narrative was, she hit him with a car. You get to talk about her leaky balloon knot, right?
Objection. Trooper Michael Proctor, the lead investigator in the case, being cross-examined by Alan Jackson. Such a big moment in that first trial. Such an important witness in that first trial. Let's go back and take a look at it, because he provided some significant evidence for prosecutors, but there was some damage done on cross-examination. Take a look.
When you're coming up the driveway and you're passing by the defendant's vehicle, you mentioned some damage that you observed to the right rear passenger side area. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you describe to the jury what it was specifically that you observed as far as damage to that area of the vehicle?
Yeah, the right rear tail light had large pieces missing from it. Located a black drinking straw.
Excuse me.
Consistent with the one seen in the waterfall video of Mr. O'Keefe walking out of the bar hole in the glass. We located his hat that had the American flag that was deep underneath the snow. As we were digging, we discovered that. We further discovered other pieces of plastic as well. So these came from me. From all accounts, he didn't do anything wrong. She's a whack job.
So don't spell it. You have to. So these are your words, Trooper Proctor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Yes, she's a babe. Great Fall River accent, though. No ass.
We're assessing. Personal assessment. You care to read that struck this officer with the car, gave you license to call her a
Objection.
right?
Based on the evidence, sir, my motions got the best of me, so it was in poor taste. Yes, it was in poor taste.
So you're making excuses.
Juvenile, but it was my motions that gotten the best of me.
Sir, you had an agenda from moment 1, did you not?
Objection.
And now at this point, Trooper Proctor has officially been dismissed from the Massachusetts State Police.
As
So
he
that
should
brings
have
us to the
been.
next question in our investigation with this crucial witness. Who will Trooper Proctor help more? Will be the prosecution or defense at this point in this trial? Here with us, Massachusetts criminal defense attorney Joseph Krasky Jr. and Massachusetts trial attorney, served as special trial counsel to Johnny Depp in his defamation case, Wayne Dennison. Wayne, what are your thoughts about Trooper Proctor on that witness stand? Who does he help more?
I think ultimately he will end up helping.
1 second, 1 second.
The prosecution more. He's going to be better prepared. They will try to blunt some of the horrible text messages and some of the other activity in which he engaged. And I think ultimately, although they're going to have to try again to put him on trial, you really cannot go in and witness hammer and tong in front of a jury unless and until they get to a point where the jury's going to be comfortable with that. And I think that the prosecution is going to preview this sufficiently that he will ultimately be a helpful prosecution witness.
Joseph, what are your thoughts about Proctor and his role in the retrial? You know, in that first case, to me, I almost felt like the defense sort of shifted and sort of pivoted, and it became much more about Trooper Proctor than the hose long to die in the cold, alleged Google search, the McCabe's, the Alberts. To me, he became the focal point of the defense. So in this retrial, who do you think he helps more?
Well, look, it's probably a net gain.
What just happened? Wait a minute, hold on. Here we go.
Points, but I don't think he left anything in reserve. So Trooper Proctor is prepared. He knows everything that they're going to ask him. And as vetted as he was, certainly it showed a lot of felicitous, unprofessional conduct in the texting, but there was no smoking gun to show that he had planted any evidence or he had engaged in any misconduct. And I think that was also bolstered by some of the commentary coming out from the jurors. I know you had one juror that said that the jury didn't buy the theory that he had planted evidence or that there was a conspiracy or a cover-up. He probably helps the defense more as it relates to the murder charge than it does to the OUI-related manslaughter charge.
So, Wayne, what role does he's been dismissed and no longer works for the Massachusetts State Police. What role does that play in this second trial? I mean, do you think it impacts Proctor at all? Does he feel like less committed to the prosecution or more committed because this is the case that resulted in him losing his job?
This is his opportunity to at least partially redeem himself. And I think he's going to be more committed to being as good a witness as he possibly can be. Ultimately, I think that he's going to be more committed to trying to do a better job at testifying and to be a better witness for the prosecution than he previously was.
Joseph, what's the temperature up there in Massachusetts these days for law enforcement? Are people more skeptical these days? Because I've seen that in some jurisdictions around the country, that there's a heightened sense of or a lack of trust. Like there was a time where a police officer testified, he took him at his word for everything. But now times have changed a little bit in some places. How about in Massachusetts, and how about in the case of a trooper who was dismissed?
So look, this is a nationwide problem, right? Police misconduct, police officers not following applicable standards, police engaging in all kinds of malfeasance. I'm just a little surprised that this is the case that it took to highlight it. But the temperature is very hot. The temperature is hot in Massachusetts, people. And look, it's a healthy thing for citizens to question law enforcement. And I think that ultimately that makes law enforcement do a better job. Trooper Proctor, I'm sure that he thought these texts would never see the light of day. But the fact is that he did write those texts to other officers, and we expect our officers to be unfettered by any type of bias. I will say that, again, there is racial undertones to the fact that it took a white suburban female to kind of highlight problems that young men of color have been screaming from the rooftops for decades in Boston and Massachusetts and all over this country.
Let me ask you, Wayne, do you think this jury is going to say, listen, in order for me to convict Karen Read, I need to believe Trooper Proctor beyond a reasonable doubt?
No, I don't think that they're going to have to base their decision entirely on Trooper Proctor. You can get to a conviction I think not on the murder charge, but you can get to a conviction on the manslaughter charge, disregarding Proctor altogether and deeming him irrelevant to this proceeding.
It's going to be fascinating to see how all this goes down, you know? A lot of people say that the rematch is difficult, but when you look at Frazier Ali, that second fight just as good as the first fight. So Joseph Krowski Jr., Wayne Dennison, I just aged myself by referencing that fight, by the way.
I am in Brockton, the home of Marvin Hagler and Rocky Marciano.
There you go.
The fight capital of
And
the
he
world.
beat Joe Louis. All right, thanks so much, guys. The retrial, it's going to be different. Obviously, prosecutors have a new voice with a new lead prosecutor, but I think we may have some differences with the defense case as well. But I don't think those differences will be known until the trial gets underway, because this defense team is anything but predictable. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.
Sounds like we're done here. Yep, we're done.